friends, it is Rhea from Stillwater County Library, and we are reading The Princess and the Pig by Jonathan Emmett. So, it says, not that long ago, in a kingdom not far from here, a farmer was traveling home from the market with a cartload of straw. The farmer was so poor that he didn't have a horse, and he had to pull his own cart. In the back of the cart lay a tiny piglet. Nobody wanted to buy the piglet at the market, but the farmer had taken pity on it. I'll call you Pigmilla, he decided. This seemed like a good name for a pig. It was a hot day, and the farmer stopped to rest in the shade of the great castle. Far above him, on a high balcony, a queen was inspecting her new baby daughter. The queen was so rich that she had 7 nannies and didn't have to look after her own child. The queen picked the baby out of her cradle and held her at arm's length. I'll call it Priscilla, she decided. This seemed like a good name for a princess. A moment later, a wet, squelching noise came from the baby's diaper, followed closely by an awful smell. Yuck! Shrieked the queen, dropping the baby and running off to find her royal nannies. She left so quickly that she didn't notice she had dropped the baby over the edge of the balcony. Oh no, guys. Down, down, down went the baby. Whew, into the farmer's cart. Up, up, up flew the piglet into the princess's cradle. Oh no, guys, they switched. When the queen returned and found the piglet lying where the baby should have been, she let out an even louder shriek and fainted into the nanny's arms. The king thought he knew what had happened. A bad fairy has done this, he explained. The fairy wasn't invited to the princess's christening, so she turned the baby into a piglet to get her revenge. It's the sort of thing that happens all the time in books. Sleeping Beauty. Meanwhile, the farmer was returning home, was surprised to discover a baby girl lying where a piglet should have been. The farmer's wife thought she knew what had happened. A good fairy has done this, she explained. The fairy knew how poor and honest we are and how badly we wanted a child, so she turned the piglet into a baby. It's the sort of thing that happens all the time in books. Thumbelina. And so, without a second thought, the baby became Pigmilla, the farmer's daughter. And the piglet became Priscilla, the royal princess. It wasn't long before Pigmilla was able to walk, eat, and get dressed all by herself. The farmer and his wife soon forgot she'd ever been a pig. Things were not so easy for Priscilla. But the king and queen would never let anyone forget that she really was a princess. As Pigmilla grew older, she grew smarter and beautiful and was admired by everyone she met. As Priscilla grew older, she grew not so smart and not so beautiful and was avoided by everyone she met. Then, one day, the farmer's wife overheard some of the castle servants talking about the princess who had turned into a pig. It's just like what happened to Pigmilla, she told her husband, only the other way around. The farmer soon guessed what had happened. The princess and the pig must have been swapped places somehow, he explained. It's the sort of thing that happens all the time in books. The Prince and the Pauper. The poor farmer and his wife were very unhappy. They loved Pigmilla, and they knew they must return her to her rightful home. Pigmilla was also unhappy. She loved the farmer and his wife and did not want to live with anyone else, but they were an honest family, so the next day they all went to the castle to see the king and queen. The king and queen listened to the farmer's story. But they didn't believe it. What nonsense, cried the queen. Ridiculous, the king laughed. This girl may be smart and beautiful, but she does not look or speak like a real princess. The queen thought she knew what had happened. It's a trick, she declared. The girl is just a farmer's daughter pretending to be a princess so she can marry a prince. It's the sort of thing that happens all the time in books. Puss in Boots. And so, Pigmella returned home with the farmer and his wife, where she married a young shepherd and lived happily ever after, and never once wished that she'd been a princess. And Priscilla also got married to a handsome prince, although he had to be talked into it. Priscilla was changed into a pig by a bad fairy, the king explained. But once you kiss her, the spell will be broken and she will turn back into a beautiful princess, added the queen. It's the sort of thing that happens in books all the time, they assured him. The Frog Prince. But unfortunately for the prince, it's not the sort of thing that happens in this particular book. Oh my goodness. She gave him kisses. The end. It says, can a pig really become a princess? So that was The Princess and the Pig. All right. I hope you guys liked our story. Bye, friends.